Hello, YouTube. This is Mickey D bringing you episode 64 of Stationeers. And hopefully, we're going to have the episode now that I planned on having last night. Uh, Ran into a few issues. Mainly, ACs were just drawing a ton of power, which was kind of strange, but well, it's related to the um, hey, unexpected. Related to what was it? Oh, the radiator's getting colder, so it can't pull the heat out. So it was basically jumping up the temperature. And we can turn these ones off. Um, there we go. Okay. So, and then we had the issue of the CO2 or O2 line was contaminated, and we got that straightened out, which basically just, I believe, turned out to be that uh, when we were draining the system, it had got. So, now that that's good to go, and I have not done anything off camera, so we're basically right at where we left off on the last stream. The plan for this episode is we're going to try to do some improvements to the logic circuit in here, and let the greenhouse obviously warm up. Um, and then depending on, I'm still debating whether or not I'm going to get rid of the separate radiator system for the greenhouse and basically run a line over and tie it into the main one and just expand that one. Haven't really made a decision there, but we gotta go grab some circuits and whatnot and get going on that. And I think the plan is so I want to try to set it to let we want to make sure it doesn't overpressurize the greenhouse. So I want to set it to turn off the active vent coming in if the pressure gets too high, and I want it to bleed off the extra O2 that we generate from, if we can keep plants alive. So I'll try to figure those out. It'll be interesting because I haven't set either one of those up before, so we're just gonna. We probably need a few more processors than that. I guess we actually we might still have. Okay, we do. Yep, we had some left in. I forgot we were doing the other circuit for the. We're not going to need that many memory chips. We don't need any heavy wire, and I think we have a full spool. Yes, and I just want to take a quick run through the base real quick and make sure. All right, yeah. Just want to make sure we didn't have like stuff left on or whatnot. And okay, let's go charge our battery first before we go over there. Might as well, because I'd rather not have to keep going in and out of that room. As in, have to keep running everything through the airlock. And now the greenhouse is on its own circuit, so that should hopefully make this relatively simple. We're not going to have to scan through 5 million items. So we've already got a gas sensor up here that we're pulling pressure and temperature off, and I'm hoping we can pull ratio off of that as well. I don't know. We're going to find out. So how are we going to want to do this? We're going to want to. So we've got. Let's see. We're pulling off. We should have a reader, batch writer, memory, compare, reader. So we're reading temperature. So we need another reader to pull pressure. We can do that first. Get reader. And what I'm going to try to do is basically we're going to try to, I don't know, we'll just start wrapping around this side. I want to try to get everything to fit in these 3 blocks. So we could actually turn this that way. And I think let us, obviously we got to get the thing hooked up. Yeah, that's the only thing I don't like is it does the whole open and closed door thing sometimes. Which means we might be dumping everything out into the base, which is not exactly ideal. So I'm gonna yep, 4-way there, and I think we do have, yeah, we do have a circuit there, so we're going to put that as I think we're going to do that as you know, maybe we'll do it as a 3-way corner. Oh, no, wait a minute. Yeah, there we go. And one more. There we go. So that way it'll give us our tie-in coming off this side. And we can go ahead and, oh, geez, I almost thought that fell through the ground. And junction. There we go. And can we do another, yeah, 3-way corner? There we go. So that'll give us 2 tie-ins. And I'm just going to close that. All right, so reader's on. We're going to want to read the gas sensor, which I think we just called it greenhouse gas. Yep. Greenhouse gas sensor. And we're going to want to read pressure. Let's see, pressure, temperature. Oh, yes. Ratio oxygen, ratio carbon dioxide. Oh, very nice. So pressure. So if we want to say pressure, and then we want to say, we're going to want to go, we're going to need a memory unit. We're going to need to do a compare. And good, don't fall, because I'm going to be dropping all kinds of stuff down here. Memory, and there should be our, all right. So we want to compare, and we'll stick it right there. And we want, yes, compare. Yeah, we can run that way. And then we'll just do a corner. And that's probably, we're going to want a junction there. Actually, I should do what I did last time, is just put 4-ways all over the place, and then we can just swap them out as we know exactly what we're going to use where. So we want to, let's see, memory, and I'm not sure, let's see, what is it? 29. Okay, so it's reading at 29, so we basically want to set it to 100. So if that, oh, you know what? Oh, I didn't grab the labeler. I think we should be all right to start, because I think everything else is labeled. So we want to say if the logic reader is less than the logic memory, which right now it is, then we're going to use the writer. Logic writer. There we go. And we're going to tell it to, let's see, do we have a name on that? I think it's just active vent. Now the only thing we're going to have to watch is, I think the active vents and the airlock are on the same circuit, so we'll have to make sure we pick the right one. Oop, 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 oop. We need more wiring. We do have a corner up there, right? Yes. And then what we're going to do later on is we're going to set up a similar circuit to this for the base. because we're going to need to pull off in there as well. You know, so we can set our active vents to pressurize, and then we'll just do a manual, kind of like override switch. So if we want to purge the base or depressurize it, so we want to do logic compare is going to output to this active vent. And it's going to be on. Now the question is that the right one? So the way to test it, drop that to 100. Yep, it shut it off, or dropped it to 0, since we're obviously over or above 0 kPa. All right, so now that's automated. So that's a relatively simple one. Now what I want to do is, we have that filter back there, and I want to set the filter to run if the oxygen do we do oxygen ratio? So we could do oxygen ratio, and when we were flipping through on the circuit, we changed the mode, so it's on intake. And it's probably not going to let me, yeah. Okay. That's the, turn around, thank you. Okay, yes, because we want that to exhaust, not be an intake. That's the drawback of having the circuits on before we, so logic compare, we're going to set it to active vent. Oh, I passed it, didn't I? Shoot. Let's go back around, because otherwise we know the logic compare. Maybe we didn't pass it. I thought it was closer last time. Oh, it might be because I placed it. And we want it to be on. I wonder if we can actually read the pressure. I didn't realize that. Looks like we can actually read the pressure on. So now, see, we don't have the right one. And yeah, see, we still don't have the right one. It worked so much easier the first time. Oh, that's still not the right one. It's got to be this one. No. Logic compare. Oh. Son of a pain in my butt. Yes, because every time we change it, it's going to change which one it's running. Or it's going to wipe out the setting. So not that one. This is where the labeler comes in handy. Unfortunately, I forgot the labeler, and I don't want to have to run out and get it. So on. And okay. Oh, yep. So that's the one we want. So we'll set it to 100. We're good to go. All right. Not going to mess with it again. Yes. So on some things, it's best to leave the logic circuit off until you, get it set. So we don't have an issue like that where we accidentally probably contaminate. Well, yeah, we'll have to check. We may have contaminated the CO2 supply. because that is the drawback of that one is it's obviously if we put it into an input, it's dumping right into the CO2 system. Not really way around that unless we put like a flow valve or something on it. Now, all right, where was he? Okay, so the filter. So that filter, we want it to, and as you can see, like one active vent doesn't really seem to be able to keep up because this passive vent is tied into the filter and where it's running constantly. It's basically pulling out is that active vent is putting in. So we could put a flow valve on there, or I don't want to say it, not a pressure regulator, but we could put I'm guessing a volume pump, and we could shut that valve. We could shut it off from intaking from this. That would be an option, and then it would let it get the pressure up in here. But I think for now we're just going to work with the. We're just going to want to do a reader for the filter. And yeah, we're going to want to turn that. And then we can change that. We'll change that circuit. So we're going to need a reader. And what we're going to read is the. There we go. We're going to read the fill. No, we're going to read the gas meter, gas sensor, and we want to read the carbon dioxide ratio. I think is what we're going to read, and then we're going to set. And really, a lot of these circuits are basically the same thing. We're just changing it based on. Let's kind of hoping there's maybe somewhere to. I guess we'll just go over to this one. We're just setting it. So what do we want? I want to say. We're going to want, I don't want the filter running all the time, but obviously, so if it makes me, that should be 10%. So we'll say if, I want to say we're going to want to leave it at, let's just do 50% right now. So if the right now, so we're at 99.999999999 blah 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 blah. So basically 99.999954% carbon dioxide, and we'll set it to if we're over 50%, or we'll set it if we're less than 50%. Yeah. So wiring. Yeah, we'll set this so that if we're at less than 50%, we will kick in, and we're going to want a corner. We're going to want a three-way corner. There we go. Three-way corner. And a three-way corner going the other way. There we go. All right. So that'll tie those in. Yeah, because we'll read that one around that way. You're not going to let me grab it. There we go. And we can go ahead and take that one off of a four-way as well. Three-way corner. All right. do corner, corner, very nice. And then we're going to change this one to be a 4-way. I hate that it does that on the doors. I mean, I get why, because if the base loses power, then you don't have to force the doors open. But it's still kind of annoying. All right, so we want to do. We want to compare the logic reader, and let's make sure we get the right one. Compare logic reader is less than logic memory, and let's make sure you get the right logic memory. So 0.5. Obviously, we know that's not right. Let's see, we've got that set to 100. It is less than 100, so it's either reading that memory or it's reading this logic reader, because that's nope, less than 100, less than 50. That would be less than 0.5. I might have to go grab the labeler to do this easier, but I have a feeling that's not the correct. Okay, logic reader, state 1. Logic. Let's see if we can get to the other logic memory. Okay, stat 0. Okay, so hopefully that should be reading now right now, because this is at 100. So if we were comparing to that, then it would say, you know, obviously it would be off because it's not less than. Well, it is less than 100. Actually, we want it on. All right, we're going to grab the labeler. Otherwise, we're going to end up screwing this up. Yeah, not really any way around it. And I should actually, while I go grab that, change the battery in it, because we haven't changed the battery in it in quite a while, and the thing goes dead after not too many uses. I should actually maybe put a large battery in it now, since we're at the point now where we're gonna be doing a lot more logic circuits. Oh no, I got logged out of Steam. Close enough. We probably still have a few. Uh-oh. Don't tell me it was in my... Oh, man. Look at that. It was in my inventory the whole entire time. What's the battery? Oh, it's got a high charge in it. Okay, so we're fine. All right. So we actually didn't need to go out there. Luckily, it's quick to go back in. And we'll go ahead and close that. All right. So we are going to label this one. Let's see. What are we reading on here? We're reading carbon. So CO2 ratio reader. And we're going to see CO2 ratio limit. And we might as well, since we're here, that is our greenhouse pressure. Compare greenhouse pressure limit, and that's the greenhouse pressure writer. So ratio limit, CO2 compare CO2 ratio limit. All right. Now we should, yeah, greenhouse ratio ratio reader, and we want to compare that to the greenhouse ratio limit. Okay, set 0 because it is not less than. Now we want to do a writer. Is that the... Nope. So we need that one. We're going to do a writer. Where do I want to put that? Maybe we'll put it right there. Nope. Writer. I said writer like 3 times, and I still put a reader in. Not a batch writer. There we go. And wire this in this way. I think we're just going to throw a 4-way and a 4-way in there for now. As long as that stays closed. So our input is obviously kind of the same as we want to do our CO2 ratio input, our CO ratio compare. Ratio compare, and then we're going to output to the filter, which there should only be one on that circuit. And we want to do on. There. Now that should, and we're going to have to go check, but that should turn off this filter. So yeah, see now our pressure is climbing. I shouldn't have my jetpack on. Yeah, so now our pressure should climb in here until we hit 100 kPa. Or run out of CO2, whichever one happens first. We should have more than enough CO2, though, to pressurize this all the way. Once we hit that, then it's going to shut that off. And then the base is basically just going to sit here until, we start growing plants. And then once the plants start producing oxygen, it'll run the filter. And it's going to dump the CO2 back in the system, dump everything else. So that'll get rid of any pollutants we add as well. Which really, once we get this all set up, we might have a little bit in here from using the jetpack and when we re-weld these blocks. But it should, we shouldn't really, unless we make some changes to it, we shouldn't have any more really pollutants being introduced. Unless I do something foolish like accidentally turn on my jetpack or something while I'm in here. And then the only thing we have to watch out on is we have nothing bleeding off any extra pressure. So if, say, we've got the plants growing and it warms up and the pressure is higher, then it's going to, if it cuts out at 100, it's going to slowly get higher. Then it might go up a little bit, but I believe we have quite a bit of a buffer before we hit the limit on, and let me see, I think the limit for the glass windows is, I want to say like 150 kPa. Not 100% positive. I want to say it's 100 and composite window 200 kPa. Okay, is the max pressure that they'll withstand. So we can, so we definitely not hit that while from this system running, because if we get 100. Oh, that's a good idea, too. I was going to say, if we have 100 kPa and it's 100% CO2, that's going to let it get up to 100 kPa in oxygen, because that would be half. So we actually want to set our ratio higher. So we'll set it at, autosave. We're going to set it like 90%. And then it'll just, intermittently, it's going to kick in the filter. It's going to intermittently kick in the filter when we get that 10% of oxygen in the atmosphere. It'll run it, which is obviously going to pull out atmosphere until it drops down below that, and which it'll kick in the vent and be pumping out fresh CO2 to top it off. So I think that's it. I don't think we need to add really any more to it. I mean, we've got our heaters, our cooling, our pressure, and then the carbon dioxide ratio. So we should be pretty good. And now we basically just have to wait for it to finish warming up, which honestly, we're probably at a warm enough temperature that we could, I guess ideal is 30 to 40 degrees Celsius for the greenhouse, but we're definitely warm enough that they shouldn't be dying. And I am going to clean those up since we know we don't need them like that. And that's a junction, and we should be good. And then we can button this all up. There we go. So compare on filtration, ratio less than ratio limit. All right. I might set that to 0.8. It's fine. I think it's fine. All right. We've got our flooring 1, 2, 3. For some reason, we actually have an extra one, but we're going to have to go grab some steel plates. So we can weld those back up. Hey, McGaver. And then what's the next circuit we're going to work on? We should probably get some of the ACs automated, which is basically going to be the same thing. We're just going to compare to... Well, actually, I want to see, because I think we can we can read the tank temperature. And I wonder if we can read what the set point is on the ACs. Because if we can read what the set point is on the ACs, then we can very easily just have it read the tank pressure, compare it to the set point on the ACs, and then have that turn on the AC or not. And then that way we don't have to set a memory since, because if we set a memory and then we end up changing the temperature on the AC, we would have to change the memory, to reflect it. That way it would make it basically self-adjusting. And what I want to do real quick is, before I do anything, is I want to top off my jet tank. And the last thing I want to do is get stuck in the greenhouse. And we're going to grab 2, 4, 6. We only need 6, so that's good. 23.1. So now we're going to see if we still have the issue of, yeah. Now that we're actually getting a higher pressure up here, we're going to have to actually start, because we can use this in reverse. We can pull air out of the room to pressurize this. And maybe someday we'll automate that, but I don't know. I wish they'd get it so that we could do we could technically make 2 airlocks back to back. Okay. And I do want to put some monitors out that is going to read, we get the temperature. I want to read the pressure, as well, because this last thing I don't want to do is, have something happen and we end up blowing out the. So 100% CO2, a little bit of O2, a little bit of hydrogen. Yeah, just because we've been running. So, and we'll see how well this goes, because every time else we've tried to plant plants, we've had issues with, um, we've had issues with the greenhouse just making too much heat. So I'm going to plant these, and we're going to go from there and see what happens. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm hoping, because we did expand that, I'm hoping we should be all right. I don't really, hopefully this doesn't plant all of these, because I do want to save some of these just in case. We're getting kind of low. And I'd like to find out too, something I've never checked is, does the water temperature coming into the plant matter? And push. All right. There we go. So let's see what happens to the temperature in here. Because last time we had issues with it just randomly spiking like crazy as soon as we planted all the plants. Which somebody did point out that, maybe where each... No, that shouldn't really matter. I don't know. So we'll see. I mean, I would imagine we should have enough, as long as we're not overfilling the radiator system. So which obviously now we're at 28, and then we've hit 100, so now our vent shut off. And if for some reason we do find the pressure is climbing too high, which it hopefully shouldn't, then we should be able to, we could always expand the circuit. So if it gets to 125, it kicks the filter in. But see, yeah, now we're generating quite a bit of heat. And I want to see when the AC, I want to see when the ACs kick in, since we're having issues with those before. They seem to have fixed that, though, where they were randomly, when we added one, then the other ones wouldn't work, and I have to keep going back through and basically musically replacing them, replacing, kind of like playing musical chairs with them, until finally they all started working. That was a big pain. But, yeah, see, we're definitely generating a lot more heat in here now that we've got the plants growing. So, but we should, the AC should kick, as soon as we get to 36.8, the AC should kick in. And now that's, okay, so our ratio must have dropped below, because you can see our pressure's dropping now. So our fans kicked in, or our vents kicked out, the filters kicked in, and the fans kicked in. Or I say fan, but the vent, the active vent. But that's good, because it's, well, I think it's slowly dropping. Looks like the filter can pull in slightly faster than the vent can output. So it might be worth it just to add one more vent, because then the two vents should be able to, or like I said, we do a, I don't know, volume pump on the, and then but we'd have to tie the volume pump into the circuit as well, too. So 34.6, it's getting up there. The AC should, the heat, no, why is the heat still on? I don't think we've got the heat set that high. Huh. I would think the heat should be off. We might need to adjust that a little bit. I might have it set to like 35. I think I have like a 3-degree range. Actually, now that I think about it, I do think that it's set to about 35. And then it's either 36.8 or 38.6. I can't remember. I think it's 38.6 is what we're going up to. But we are going to get, this is coming in at 30. So that's going to help drop the temperature back down. And obviously right now it's a little bit cooler because we haven't quite hit the temperature yet. So that seems to be working pretty good. We probably could drop that ratio a little bit lower or high, or so it's not going to kick the filter in all the time. Because right now it looks like we're hitting, it's a greenhouse. Um, hmm. Yeah, because if we run it all the time, we're going to end up. Not that I really care. We're dropping the pressure. With the ratio we've got right now, we're not going to get the. We're not going to be able to take off our helmet anyway. Which is another reason to change it and have less CO2 in the atmosphere. But then we're probably going to have to monitor it more closely because if the plants are using it quite a bit, that's the other thing we need to do. We need to go out and check because last time when we had all the plants growing, it sucked through all of the CO2 like insanely fast. So we'll go ahead and go out and we can see what the CO2 is reading at, see how much it's using. And I think having it recirculate's helping. This should help our radiator system too now, because now we're going to be dumping some heat into the radiator system. So some of the other gases that we're trying to heat up, we should not be having such a massive drain from the ACs because of basically not really being much heat in the radiator system. Oh, no, we don't. That's right. Never mind. We still have separate radiator systems. We should be pretty much. Okay, 32.2. Let's go grab our reader. And yeah, obviously we did contaminate it because, we had it pull in. It's fine though. So 4.85. We're at 22.7. Now we should, from it pulling back through, we should actually see the temperature slowly increase, as well as obviously the AC is trying to increase it. Okay, we're reading more pressure because it's slowly warming up. All right, and then once if it does start, where the greenhouse is warmer, we should still be pulling. Eventually we will be pulling heat out of this side of it, but not the radiator side. And that's the next thing I'm going to check, is to see what that radiator's at. But it doesn't seem like it's pulling too far. So yeah, that's it. Negative 173. And you know what? We never hooked back up, that I just realized. We never hooked to the pollution. Oh, that's almost hit its target, so that'll be nice. We've never hit the... we never put in the refill unit for the pollution line. So we can, top these off. It's a little bit lower than I would like. I usually keep them around 100, but since the temperature is so low in there, it's not likely to drop much lower than that. But when we do work on other systems, so it's somewhere we need to tie in off of this pollution tank, and I don't know, maybe we'll just stick it right here. you know, or maybe we'll just run a line out over this way, and maybe that'll be something useful to have right here. So that might work. But let's go check the temperature in there. 32.4. So definitely seems to be working a lot better than last time. It seems to be, you know, that seems to be helping with the temperature, keeping it equalized. So yeah, we'll let that run for a little while, and you know, hopefully all stays well with it, and hopefully that will let us finally, you know, be able to produce some food. So let me see, what are we gonna jump onto? I want to get, you know what, and we'll start with this one just for the sole. Maybe not. So I want to set the AC. And you know what we might do? If we can read the set point, then we still might use a memory and a math unit. And then that way we can add a buffer. Or I might not need to get that fancy with it. Just obviously I don't want the thing clicking on, off, on, you know. Not that we can't, but I would like to do this one first, since it is kind of actually what we're using, especially if we can pull off of that. Now the problem is we've got to pull off the data line on this side. We can't come back that way. We can't come from the front. We could come in over here. We could, I guess, run. Yeah, because all this line is up here. So we could just come in, tie in, wrap around this way. Be kind of a pain, but we're going to have to kind of really snake that around. And I think this is on a different circuit, if I remember correctly. Okay. Oh, all right, so we're good there. All right, so let me see what we can actually read off of the tank. Because ideally I'd like to read the tank, which we should, well, I know we can definitely read the temperature. Yeah, we can definitely read that, because we know that. We can read temperature and pressure because we get that off the consoles. So what we want to try to do then is, and maybe, you know, we could just put the circuit right here. It doesn't really matter. I just want to kind of leave them in the same kind of spot in each one, so that, you know, if we need to access it, we know which one we're accessing. So I think I want to put it right here. And then the next one can be right here. And then kind of a good spot because that's in front of the AC anyway. All right. And we're going to, we'll just tie in like, I'm trying to think. So if we have to come in and tie in over there, because I don't think we're going to be able to snake in, especially with all the corners. So this would give us a straight shot. And this will probably, yeah, we're going to get, no, that's not too bad. We can tie in off of these, because those ones we can pull right off the front. You know, this one's, for whatever reason, was set up a little bit different, and that we can't pull off. You know, that line's not coming back because it's the end of the line, basically. So we can't pull off right there. All right, so let's see if we do a reader here. And we're going to definitely need labeler, because we're going to need to So we're going to name this the CO2 tank. And we're going to name this the CO2 AC. And since we're already naming everything, let's just go ahead and name this the CO2 filter. Though we shouldn't have to mess with that because those are batch done by pressure in the pipe. Which we're going to need to really set. We've got to really set an upper and lower limit on that because they're not shutting off. And that was the thing before because the greenhouse runs. So as the greenhouse is running, we're generating I really I ran out of cable. I went through 50 that fast. I'm definitely gonna have to make some more. Good thing I smelted up a bit of extra wire. And I smelted up a bit of extra coal or copper. Jeez, one of those things that begins with C. Hey, GamerX. All right, so we're gonna go ahead. Let's go ahead. Let's just go ahead so I don't forget where I put it. I just want to get enough of this. Oh, one of these ways. Thank you. Set up that we can figure out if we can pull the AC. So we want CO2 AC. It's getting there. It gets a little bit bigger and bigger as time goes on. So the AC, CO2 AC. Okay. Now, can we read? No, it doesn't look like we can. Shoot. Okay, so we're going to have to do it by the memory. Hi, Michael. Yeah, so you can't read what the set point is on it. Air lock on. Yep, so we'll have to set a memory for each one then. And we'll just set it to. I mean, we shouldn't be changing it, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal. But I'll just have to remember that if we do change it, we'll have to change the memory to match. Yeah. All right. So we're not going to need a reader then, since we can't actually read it. But we will need a writer. So that we'll actually need two writers. We can stick one, not a batch writer. Let's not have that issue again. Oh, and I ran out of writers. No, filtration's pretty much done. It's up and running. We're working on a little bit of automation. So I want to automate the ACs so they kick on and off automatically. We've got the greenhouse up and running. And we just finished up expanding the logic on that for the pressure and for the ratio to kind of automate the active vent and the filtration in there. So now we have temperature, pressure, and the carbon dioxide ratio automated in the greenhouse. And now I want to work on getting, which I'll do this one. I'm not going to go through and do them. Not with, I haven't done it with, by using the logic chips, and I don't see a way to read it. I don't know if there's a way to write it, but I'm not seeing it. It doesn't seem to be listing it as an option. So what we're going to do is use the use a memory. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's a it'll let you do that yet. I'm sure they'll add it eventually. I mean, it seems like something that you should be able to, since it's an adjustment on the machine, then I think we should be able to adjust it using the logic. But it's all right since we're pretty much setting them and leaving them. Then we can just use a memory chip and just tell it to, if the pressure tank is less than whatever the memory chip says, it turns on, or greater than, or does not equal to. So that would give us a way to basically. We'll just have to remember that if we change the AC, we've got to change the memory chip. But that should be, and we'll have to remember we need 2 writers. For the AC. So we're going to use quite a few of these because we're going to need 12 total then. Plus we need a reader for each tank, so we're up to like 18. And obviously I'll set this one up, and then I'll set up the rest of them, like off camera or something. Since you're not just watching me put the same circuit in over and over again, because for the AC we've got to put one in for each tank, and we don't the filtration's already set up, and that's fine, so we don't need to those are on a batch, because that's just if there's pressure in here or not. But the ACs we're going to need independent, since obviously we're putting different gases in. Okay, there we go. Oh, thank you, and welcome to the stream. All right, so if we just do. Actually, probably just rotate that. And logic writer. Okay, we've got the here's the other part of the system, the reader. So we need reader, writer, compare, and a memory. And then that should do us pretty good. So memory. A compare, which should be, yeah, right there. Yeah, that'll work. Oh, not a select. I'm gonna look at the wiring and not at the what actual chip I was placing. There we go. Compare. All right. And we're going to just throw the memory over here for now, because we don't need it for a while. And I'm running out of space. All right. So we'll need a junction and straight cable, which we got to run all the way. Luckily, this is the only one I think that we have to do this on. We might, nope. Yeah, should just be this one, because every other one, the cable already runs in front of it. And this is going to be kind of annoying, because we've got to run all the way to that data port. Now, we could just move the circuit and just have the cable run there. Yeah, I actually like it when it's. I find a lot of times the game the sound in the game is too loud. I mean, obviously there's settings and I can fiddle with it. It just seems like it's too much, you know. Every little thing seems to have to make noise in this game. And especially like, if you have your helmet on and you're in oxygen, it's not too bad. And we got an autosave. It's not too bad, but it's like you open up your helmet and it's like you just get blasted with sound. Okay, so now we can read the pressure off of that tank. And we're going to want to add, and you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that. I think take that. We're going to turn it. Oh, well, that's not going to work. Oh, actually, no. Yeah, that's not going to work. But we could. No, I don't want to do that either. And I'm not going to want to put it there. But I can if I turn it. Oh, wow, really? It won't even let me put it there. Because it knows it's blocking the inputs. That's why. I find that it's not too bad. I mean, I'm not, the greatest at it. And sometimes it'll take me a minute to kind of figure out. But just build it part by part. If you wanted to do multiple things, get the first part working, and then jump on to the next one. And that pipe's going to be that's going to be annoying. So this pipe's going to be kind of in the way because we can't do a corner, so we're going to have to add a straight section and then come back. Not like we're not using enough cables as it is, but anyway. There's still a few things. I mean, I'm hoping they're going to add some more improvements to it. I find a lot of times in the game, everything is almost always a logic reader, or one or two, a writer, a memory, and like a compare. It's like so much stuff is just automated that way because you're basically comparing against something, and if it's true, you're either turning something on or turning something off. I swear, like 90% of the circuits I've done have been like that. When you want to get your power monitor and something, that's gets a little bit more in depth, but still, not too bad. And but we do actually have a few more. We're going to be coming into some more. Oh, there was a port on that. Some more in-depth, kind of, I don't know, more complicated circuits coming up because I really want to get some. We've got to set up a limit, and I was hoping we could do that with the min-max, but it turns out the min-max basically just returns either a minimum or a maximum. So I was really kind of hoping the min-max would let you set a range. But no, it doesn't work out that way. So hopefully someday they will add one where we can set a range, opposed to having to, set up multiple chips or something to be able to do that. Okay. So that should be everything tied in. So now, let me go change my battery. It seems like for some reason tonight my battery is draining quite a bit faster than it normally does. But I'm also kind of just ignoring my light and leaving it on too, so that could be part of it. The base. It's this story is the main level. There's a basement with the basically all the power storage and generation in here. So we've basically got, and then all of our grids tie in with our backup generators. Oh, I forgot to put the flooring back down when I was messing with that. And then and that's pretty much it. The roof has all the solar panels on it. So we have a staircase going up there, but that's not really a story. It's the roof. So I guess short answer is 2. Yep. So it seems to work out pretty good. Grading, we'll combine those, drop those. All right. So now let's get some of this stuff set. So this one, we're going to want to set it to, oops, other way. And I always forget that, but we can do Alt and the big number. I bet this is going to be set in Kelvin. Yeah. Where are we at? We're going to be 30 degrees, 30. We need to like set it like 303. Oh, I always forget that's an Alt. Oh, I did again. 303. That should be pretty close. But we'll have to double check because we're going to want to be kind of precise on that. Well, as long as it's close, it'll be fine, I guess. Logic writer, logic reader, and logic writer, logic reader. You know what? Reader. Oh, no. Okay, yeah. Yeah, okay, so we only should need the one. And so we're going to read from the CO2. And there's going to be a lot of stuff on this circuit. So we need to read from the CO2 tank. And we want to read temperature. So we're at 299.97. Yep, so a little bit obviously low, but it's getting up there. And then we want to compare. Oh, yeah, let's label some of these. So CO2 tank temp reader. So CO2 tank temp compare. And then we're going to want CO2 tank temp limit. And then we're going to want CO2 tank AC on and on to. All right. That should be, so we're going to want to read from the CO2 tank reader, which we are, strangely enough, is greater than that is greater than CO2 tank limit. CO2 tank temp limit, okay, which it tank limit, aren't we 300, 303? Okay, it's not greater than. Oh, is if we do an equals, it's going to cycle all the time. Does not equal, which it does not equal. Well, actually, the temperature should not fluctuate that much. Let's try that. Does not equal. We might change it to be either a less than or equal than, depending if we want to. If we could do, if we do less than, it's going to bring it up to the 30 degrees, which is basically where that's a minimum we want. I think we're going to set it to a less than. So it's less than this. If it goes over, and it shouldn't go over by much, we should be all right because the AC is gonna cool it down. The only thing we have to watch for is when it comes through from the greenhouse, it might be making it pretty warm. So if it's compares less than. Oh, have a good night, Gamer X. Yeah, let's just set it to, I don't know, I don't want to do that. I'm going to set it to a not equals. That way, if it doesn't equal, it'll try to kick it on. I don't think we're going to get that much variance out of it, especially for the amount of volume in there, that once it gets a temperature, it should be pretty close. And then we're going to set the AC to be, we're going to run around the CO2 AC. CO2 AC. You're gonna make me go all the way through everything, aren't you? We should be. Did we not label that one? CO2 AC. That's what I thought. That should tie in. Don't tell me that doesn't tie into that circuit. That's going to be really annoying. CO2. AC. Radial logic memory. Tank temperature, CO2, AC on to. Yeah, I don't think we're tied into that circuit. Oh, I was thinking that I should be, because I'm pretty sure that runs down and around right there. Oh, let's open it up and check. Yeah. Just run down, right around. Right around. Should be tied together. Okay. Tank. Writer memory. Reader compare pressure. I see only the other chip. No. Why is that not seeing it? I mean, we know this is getting power, because obviously it's running, so it's getting power. Why am I not? Oh. Duh. All right. I hate this. This is the thing I do like every 3 times I set up a circuit. I was looking for the AC. We've got to pull from the reader, or the compare unit. So we want the AC tank temp compare. That always screws me up. Tank temp compare. Now we want to say we're going to the AC. Yes, CO2 AC. And we're going to say that one is on. Now, here we go. This one, we want to say, and I think I just passed it. Same thing, AC tank, or AC tank temp compare, or CO2 tank temp compare. There we go. Out to CO2 AC. And let's see, we set that one to on, so this one needs to be set to open. So power on, power on. And if we say, let's change this to be equals, it does not, okay, shut it off. Greater than, less than, and there we go. So we're going to set it to not equals, and then once that gets up to temp, it should shut it off. So basically we have to replicate this circuit for every AC. And then that's going to maintain that. So now we've got our filtration automated, and then we'll have all of our ACs automated. And we just have to basically just set each one to what the temperature is. So these will be like 293, these will be, that'll be 303. I think, and then except for the pollution, which we've got set a lot lower. So we're kind of pre-chilling it for radiators. All right, yes, so a little bit of a hang up there. And I swear I do that on every like 4 circuits or so that I set up, is I keep forgetting that I'm not pulling from the machine itself, I'm pulling from, you know, the compare. Because these can only see like compares and math units and writers and whatnot, or other logic chips, I should say. Yeah, so that's good. That one's going. And we might, like I said, we might see about setting that up to have a buffer at some point. But the thing I like about that too is now that means that when we come in, you know, when I load the world, we don't have to come in here and turn those on, because it will run the circuit basically on the map load. Oh, I guess I might as well put the 2 right there, or 3. Perfect. All right. Yeah, so we'll take that off camera at some point. I'll just put in, you know, a circuit for each one of these, which thankfully now these are all, this is all the same circuit for all of these. So I can just pull off and, you know, tie in over there. Same thing, pull off, tie in over there. Yeah, pull off this one. Oh yeah, I can pull off, tie in, run over there. That one's going to be a little bit interesting. I'll probably have to pull off and just run down the wall on that side. But there we go. So those are all nice and automated. We've got the greenhouse, which we should go check on, and we can pick up that memory chip, which we're at 36.6. We've still got plants growing. Where are we at? So we were at like 4.87 or so. Oh, so yeah, we've used quite a bit of carbon. You know what we should have checked is I should have checked how much O2 we had, to see how fast that was climbing, because we seem to be using a ton in the greenhouse to generate that. I mean, we're at 4.87, 4.86. You know, obviously it's fluctuating a little bit with the temperature and as the filtration runs, but you know, we've basically used almost half of a MPa of CO2, and we obviously I don't think we would have generated, you know, obviously we haven't, because I haven't changed out my tank since and anytime in this stream. So we've used over, about 500 kPa, and we've only generated 367 kPa. So yeah, unless you're running the furnace and stuff, the greenhouses are not sustainable by themselves, since we don't have enough stuff like producing CO2 in the game. And obviously I don't want to run the, I don't want to run the gas generator just to run it, because then we're wasting fuel and, other resources. So yeah, that definitely needs a little bit of balancing there for the CO2. Or we have to just add, well, no, it's going to work out to be the same thing. And if I remember correctly, I thought they said it was a 1-to-1 ratio for the plants. I might have to look at that. I know there was, I believe right now it was a 1-to-1. For basically you put in one, actually I can look right here. I have the Excel. Because there is a, let me see. Let's turn that. Okay. Is it under hydroponics? Carbon dioxide quantity times plant volume divided by atmospheric volume. It's a range from 0 to 2. I guess that's maximum efficiency. Yeah, maximum efficiency for the plants is between 30 and 40 degrees Celsius. Anything, it'll live, it says from 0 to 65. I don't know if it'll actually live at 0, but that's the efficiency range. And then you get max at 30 to 40, which is where we're keeping it at. CO2 to O2 conversion rate is 1-to-1, which doesn't really seem like that's what we're getting. Plants conversion rate CO2. Well, now this one says, I don't know, there's a little bit conflicting information. I see plant conversion rate CO2 into O2 variable. The higher the CO2 rate, the higher the CO2 conversion concentration, the faster the conversion. And we do have a conversion here to figure that out. There is a calculator. But the CO2 to O2 conversion rate says it's 1-to-1, is basically what the actual, for how much CO2 you get in. I think it's how fast it does it is based on that temperature range. But it doesn't seem like, that's really what we're getting. Though there has been a little bit of a temperature difference. So, either way, we let this run. We're going to end up running out of. CO2 again, and probably not all that long, because we've used basically half of an MPA, and we've been streaming for an hour and 24 minutes. So, and we didn't even have plants planted that whole time. So, yeah, that's we basically got maybe 8 hours worth of CO2 in that tank. And for some reason, I do not see generating that much in 8 hours, or that much in 8 hours. But I think we're going to call this good for this stream. We've got that kind of circuit set up. We've got the greenhouse circuit set up. And I think in the next stream, I've got to do this off camera, the rest of these setups, just so you're not watching me do the same thing over and over again. But I might do another stream before then, and then sometime during this weekend I'll hook those up. We're generating enough power right now, especially where we're not running all of them, which don't need to be running. And, you know, I'll basically put in the circuit. It might run a few degrees and then shut off. So it's not critical we run them. They're all pretty close to the ranges we need. But you know, so it's not critical that we have those circuits set up. So if we do another stream, which I do want to do, what am I going to do is the question. Maybe I'll make up some alloys. You know, obviously we're not having power issues. But yeah, maybe we'll, oh, and we can shut this off now. We don't even need that running. Oh, that is actually something we could do. Is we could get, we've got to get the return system up and running a little bit better than it is right now, especially since we kind of gutted half the system doing all this. And obviously there's some loose ends here, and we got to do some lighting around and, you know, whatnot. So I think we're going to do the intake system because I really want to get the base repressurized again. Yeah, and that's what we got to keep an eye on is, you know, it's not spiking up really fast like it was last time, but, you know, obviously it's climbed up and up and up. I don't think we've gotten to the point where the ACs are kicking on, but I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, it's enough rambling for my end of episode rambling. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll probably be back in about 10 minutes. I'm going to go top off my coffee, stretch my legs, and then I think we'll be doing the intake system. Yeah. All right. You guys, this is Mickey D. Have a good night. I'll see you in the next episode.